Have you ever, really looked at the fabric of your shirt or your jeans or maybe some super ornate tapestry and just wondered, how on earth are those incredible patterns made? Well, it's not magic, but you know what? It's pretty close. It's a story of some serious mechanical ingenuity, one that evolves from really simple machines to ones that were, believe it or not, the ancestors of modern computers. So yeah, how do you get a machine to lift and lower thousands of individual threads in a perfect, repeating sequence? How do you get everything from simple, sturdy denim to a woven portrait of someone? The answer, it turns out, all comes down to one single fundamental action. And that action is called shedding. Just imagine you're opening a tunnel. The vertical threads, we call those the warp, are separated into two layers, and that space in between, that's the shed. A horizontal thread, the weft, gets passed right through. Then you close the tunnel, open a brand new one with a different set of threads, and do it all over again. That's weaving in a nutshell. The real genius, the real art, is in how you control which of those threads go up and which go down. Okay, let's dive in. We're going to start with the basic challenge, and then we're going to climb this sort of ladder of complexity. We'll look at three key solutions: the tappet, the dobby, and the absolutely revolutionary jacquard. And then we'll connect the dots and see how each of these machines makes the fabrics we use every single day. So, our first stomp is the tappet mechanism. I want you to think of this as the simplest, most fundamental answer to that shedding problem. This thing is the engine behind most of the world's simple fabrics. It's a real workhorse. The tappet's whole job is to control groups of threads all together in a fixed, repeating sequence. It's not fancy, not at all, but it is incredibly fast and super reliable. So when you need to churn out millions of yards of just plain cloth or denim with that simple diagonal pattern, the tappet is absolutely your go-to machine. And the idea behind it is just beautifully simple. See that part that's labeled tappet? It's basically just a specially shaped wheel, a cam, that rotates. And as it turns, it pushes on these levers that lift or lower a frame. And that frame's called a heeled shaft. Every single thread on that shaft moves together as one unit. It's just a really clever way to turn simple rotation into a very precise up and down movement. And these things come in two main flavors. A negative tappet only pushes the heeled shaft one way, let's say down, and then it uses springs to pull it back up. But a positive tappet, like the one in that diagram we just saw, has this groove that controls the movement both up and down. And that gives you way more precise control, which you absolutely need for higher speeds. All right, let's move on up to the next rung on our ladder and see how this all builds. What happens when you want to weave more than just a simple repeating pattern? Well, you need an upgrade. You need a dobby. See, this is the big limitation of the tappet. Its pattern is physically built right into the shape of that cam, which means the repeat is always going to be very short and very simple. So to create those small, geometric patterns, the kind you might see on some towels or a patterned dress shirt, you need to be able to control more groups of threads and do it independently. And that's exactly what the dobby mechanism does. It's a much more advanced shedding device that actually sits on top of the loom and kind of acts like a programmable brain. It allows for way more intricate designs than a simple tappet ever could. And here's where you see the real jump in power. A tappet loom, right, it might control 2, maybe 4, or even 8 heeled shafts. A dobby loom, it can control up to 28 of them, sometimes even more. That just exponentially increases the kind of pattern complexity you can create. So how does this thing actually work? Well, it's this brilliant 3-step process. First, you've got a drive mechanism with these moving knives. Second, there's a selection mechanism. Traditionally, it used a chain with little pegs or a paper card, and that reads the pattern. It tells a series of hooks which ones need to engage. Finally, the lifting mechanism comes in. The knives move and grab only the selected hooks, lifting their heeled shafts. It's basically a mechanical if-then statement for weaving. Pretty cool, huh? But what if you don't want to control just groups of threads? What if you want to control every single thread individually? For that, my friends, we need the final and most revolutionary solution of them all, the jacquard mechanism. This right here is the game changer. With the jacquard, you are no longer limited by heeled shafts that group threads together. You can tell any single vertical thread in the entire fabric whether it should be up or down for any given pass of the weft. And what that means is you can weave literally any image you want, no matter how ridiculously complex. And this image just illustrates the concept so perfectly. Look at that diagram. Notice something missing? There are no heeled frames. Instead, what you have is this whole system of hooks, needles, and these harness cords, where each cord goes all the way down to control a single heddle, which holds a single thread. This is total granular control. The process itself is pure genius. A chain of perforated cards rotates over this cylinder. Now, where there's a hole, a needle passes through, and its hook gets engaged by a rising blade called a griff. That hook then lifts its one warp thread. But where there's no hole, the needle gets pushed back. The hook moves out of the way, and that thread stays put. A hole means lift, no hole means stay down. Simple as. And here, this is the part that is just truly mind-blowing. This simple binary system of hole or no hole, a 1 or a 0, was a direct inspiration for computing pioneers like Charles Babbage. The punch cards that programmed the very first computers, they are a direct descendant of the Jacquard loom. So in a very real sense, the information age, it all began with weaving. How wild is that? So, the crucial takeaway here is understanding how these different mechanisms connect to the fabrics we see all around us every day. Each one is really just the right tool for a very specific job. And this table just lays it all out perfectly. You've got the tappet, giving you low complexity, perfect for your basics like denim. Then the Dobby steps it up to medium complexity, for all those little geometric patterns on towels or shirts. And finally, the Jacquard. That's total control, the highest complexity, giving us those stunningly beautiful fabrics like ornate damasks, brocades, and tapestries. You know, here's a really simple way to remember it. A tappet is like a light switch. It's either on or off, a simple repeating action. A Dobby, that's like a piano. You can play lots of different notes and chords to create some pretty complex melodies. But a Jacquard? Oh, a Jacquard is a synthesizer. You can control every single aspect of the sound to create absolutely anything you can possibly imagine. So, I'll just leave you with this question. The next time you pick up a piece of clothing or you see a decorative fabric somewhere, take a really close look at the pattern. Is it a simple repeat? Is it a small geometric design? Or is it some flowing, complex image? Because now you have the tools to figure out exactly what kind of machine brought that piece of art to life.